During the school year, students spend most of their waking hours at school. For students with chronic health conditions such as asthma, schools play an important role in the management of their medical condition, and that's a responsibility that cannot be taken lightly. When the proper plans and responsibilities are in place and understood, students with asthma can attend school secure in the knowledge that their entire school team, in combination with the students' parents, have devised a plan to manage their asthma. That's why the Province of Ontario introduced Ryan's Law and Policy Program Memorandum 161, supporting children and students with prevalent medical conditions in schools, which clearly outlines what's expected of school administrators and teachers when it comes to supporting students with asthma. Introduced in 2015, Ryan's Law is named for Ryan Gibbons, a 12-year-old boy from London, Ontario, who died from a severe asthma attack that began during a school recess in October of 2012. The intent of Ryan's Law is that all Ontario schools must support students with asthma by having appropriate policies and procedures in place. Specifically, it requires school boards to develop an asthma policy, which requires schools to identify which students have asthma, develop an individual plan for each student with asthma, communicate to school employees the recommendations to support the students, allow students to carry reliever inhalers, reduce and/or manage student exposure to asthma triggers, work with parents or guardians to understand the needs of students with asthma, and provide regular training to school staff on how to support students with asthma. Another important element of Ryan's Law is that in an emergency, if a school employee suspects that a student is having an asthma flare-up or attack, the school employee is permitted to administer the asthma medication or inhaler, or supervise the student using the asthma medication or inhaler, even if there is no pre-authorization from a parent or guardian, and the employee is not liable for and is released from damages. Supporting students with asthma is complex and requires a whole school approach, working in conjunction with parents or guardians. PPM 161 was introduced in 2018 to help provide direction to school boards about components to be included in their policies to support students with medical conditions. PPM 161 details the specific expectations for each role. Parents and guardians know their child best, and that's why PPM 161 expects parents and guardians to be active participants in supporting the management of their child's asthma at school. Responsibilities of parents or guardians include informing the school their child has asthma, participating in annual school meetings to review their child's plan of care, providing the school with sufficient quantities of non-expired medication or inhaler supplies, communicating changes to the child's medical status and plan of care, and seeking medical advice from a healthcare provider. An integral aspect of PPM 161 is ensuring that school personnel have the knowledge and the confidence to support students with asthma. School staff should review the plan of care for each student, support students' daily asthma management, respond to asthma flare-ups as outlined in the plan of care, reduce risk of exposure to known triggers, enable students with asthma to participate in school activities to their full potential, share information about supporting students with asthma with the student's peers if permission is received from parent or guardian and the student, and participate in annual asthma training. Principals play a key role in the collaborative development of plans of care, as well as the implementation of training throughout their schools. The principal or designate should outline the process of notifying the school of a child's asthma, at minimum during registration, as well as during the first week of the school year. Co-create, review, and update the plan of care for each student in collaboration with their parent or guardian. Maintain a file with the plan of care and supporting documentation for each student with asthma. Provide up-to-date copies of the plan of care to all applicable school staff. Communicate with parents or guardians in asthma emergencies. And organize annual staff training about supporting students with asthma. Depending on the student's cognitive, emotional, social, and physical development, students themselves are expected to be active participants in supporting the implementation of the plan of care. If possible, students should participate in the development of their plan of care, carry out daily self-management as described in their plan of care, communicate with school staff and parents or guardians if experiencing asthma-related challenges, advocate for their personal well-being, and discuss strategies to best provide assistance during flare-ups or attacks. Finally, the school board itself plays an important role in ongoing asthma support and education. School boards are expected to provide training and resources on asthma on an annual basis, communicate that students are allowed to carry their asthma medications, inhalers, and supplies to support asthma management, and develop strategies that reduce the risk of student exposure to asthma triggers in school areas. Is your learning environment asthma-friendly? Here are some important questions to ask yourself. What is our school's procedure for having conversations with parents or guardians to share updates and medical information? How are we including students in these conversations to build their self-management skills? Have I reviewed the most up-to-date plans of care for students I'm in contact with? Do I have a complete understanding of the plans of care for my students? Am I aware of how to support the management of flare-ups or attacks for each student? When it comes to creating an asthma-friendly learning environment, you can find additional information and resources, including fact sheets, posters, videos, and other resources. Be sure to read and review both Ryan's Law and PPM 161 for more information, beyond the key details summarized here. It's up to each of us to be vigilant when it comes to our awareness, training, education, and preparedness for supporting students with asthma and creating asthma-friendly learning environments. By following the guidance of Ryan's Law and PPM 161, we can be sure that our schools are safe spaces for students with asthma, and that we're collectively prepared to deal with any asthma-related challenges quickly and confidently, as a team.